Welcome to Books in the Freezer, a podcast dedicated to the deliciously disturbing world of horror fiction. I'm your host, Stephanie, and today I am joined by author and returning guest, Brian McAuley, to talk about his latest horror novel, Breathe In, Bleed Out, and Desert Horror. So, Brian, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's always a delight.
Oh, it's always so fun. But you got to tell our listeners a little bit about Breathe In, Bleed Out.
I'm happy to. So, Breathe In, Bleed Out is a murder mystery slasher about Hannah, who went through a traumatic experience and lost her fiance in a wilderness incident. And a year later, she's not doing great. She's pretty haunted and struggling to get through her days until her friend brings her this invitation to a remote healing wellness retreat in the desert of Joshua Tree. And at first, it seems wonderful. It's all, yoga and sound baths and healing. But then people start getting picked off one by someone or something out there in the desert. And it becomes a fight for her life as Hannah tries to figure out who's trying to kill her vibe.
I love that so much. There were so many like little quotes that I loved. I'll edit this out because it's a spoiler, but I was like incredible.
At this point, I'm like, I used to hesitate, and now I'm like, okay, people appreciate those little like when I'm giggling, I feel like I have to keep it in.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a book for slasher fans by a slasher fan.
That means, yeah, that means a lot because it really is like, I write from a place of just like joy and wanting to celebrate this subgenre. And so the people who grew up on the same movies that I did and love that subgenre are certainly certainly picking up on that. But it's also fun to see readers like thriller readers who are taking a chance on it and realizing like, oh, I think maybe I like these kinds of books. And I'm like, yes, come over to the dark side of horror. It's not that far a journey.
Oh, that is such a fun entry point for like a crossover reader.
Yeah, because especially this one is, it has the murder mystery
Yeah.
that a lot of thriller and mystery books would have. It's just that, as far as the violence go, it goes a little harder than than the other genres would.
You moderated a really good panel at StokerCon all about slasher horror. I loved that, and I loved hearing everyone talk about kind of this new generation of
Mm,
slashers and that the way it's evolved to be more our final girls are more complicated. They're allowed to be more
yes.
complex as characters, and I think Hannah fits that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for being there. That was a really fun panel.
It
And
was.
yeah, and I do think, for me, no matter what I'm writing, like I'm all about like character driven drama first. And so as much as I want this book to be, a fun like slasher thrill ride, like I knew it was important to have a point of view character who felt real and relatable in her, imperfect humanity. And I've been so happy to see people connecting with her on that front.
Yeah, and I mean, even with her friends, who I think when we first meet them are all kind of obnoxious.
Yes.
I mean, as goes for slashers, you're like, ah, these are like the obnoxious friends. But I mean, as the book goes on, and you switch to their POV sometimes, they really get carved out, and you get sad when they meet their very creative and violent ends.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the other thing for me, a big, Scream being always a big point of reference is like, you love all those secondary characters from, Tatum and Randy and Stu and like they are fully realized characters and that to me is really important that you get invested and even if they seem kind of one-dimensional at first, there's opportunity especially in a book to get deeper with them.
Yeah. Well, with these characters going to a wellness retreat in Joshua Tree, we are talking a little bit about wellness culture and a lot of the kind of appropriation, the appropriative nature of like modern day wellness as it is.
Yes.
And as someone who has lived in LA and is now in Arizona, which place
that's
is worse about it?
That's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, I was in LA for 10 years and I've been in Arizona for 2 years. So I think the scales are tipped towards LA and my just personal experience. And also, I live kind of in the Phoenix metropolitan area, not in like Sedona in the
Yeah.
north, where that's where the real, energy vortex crystal shop culture thrives. um, but it's interesting that it is in these desert areas that
Yeah.
seems to be where it takes hold.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that the desert is just so interesting as a setting. Well, and especially for Hannah, because her greatest trauma was in a frozen landscape, and now she
Yeah.
is getting healing in like the polar opposite of that,
Yeah.
dry, hot desert.
Yes. Yeah. That was a very, like, I realized it's like, oh, I have an opportunity to have that contrast here, and to embrace, this horror story in the desert that is like, yes, there are scenes at night for sure, but also play with like horror under the blazing, scorching sun, which I think is a fun element.
So let's talk about, why does the desert work so well with
Oh,
horror?
I mean, for one thing, it just feels like humans are not meant to exist in the desert. So everything is engineered from the weather to the creatures to kill them. When you look at like snakes and scorpions, it's like these are monsters. These are like, so that to me is the main thing of just like it feels like it doesn't want you to be alive here.
Yeah, it's like an active, hostile environment that we keep trying to tame, that we
Yeah,
keep trying to like mold to our civilization and needs. I I mean, I do love it as just kind of this very like liminal space for like supernatural activity and like UFOs.
yeah, that whole liminal thing, to tease, I won't say yet what it is, but one of the books I'm going to talk about really leans into that aspect of desert horror, the sort of like the liminal space where you're looking through a mirage kind of vibe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk about some movies that really capture desert horror?
Yes, I'm so excited.
So for this episode, I rented a movie that I had never seen before. That was A Blind Spot. And let me tell you, it was a delight.
Yes.
That
I
is
didn't.
Tremors. That was so fun.
I didn't want to put pressure on to find out, like, because I knew that you were watching it for the first time, and this is a movie that I grew up on and I'm obsessed with. And what was your experience seeing it this late in life for the first time?
It made me wish that I had seen it growing up when I was younger, but it's just, I don't know, it's adorable, it's campy, and I know adorable is like a fun word. It's an interesting word choice for like, giant desert earthworms that are like decimating this town and like eating people. Just
It is pretty adorable
it
though.
is.
Because it somehow mashes up a creature feature with like a buddy comedy.
Yes.
And like I think I posted about this online because I saw it in a sold out screening a couple weeks ago, and the crowd was so lively and like cheering and laughing. And like what really struck me is like this little community of Perfection, Nevada feels
Yes.
so like real and lived in, and all those characters, like we were saying, like you really care about all of them, from like the doomsday couple to the shop owner and
I was
like the
like, is
little
that
punk ass
Reba
kid.
McEntire?
Was that a surprise for you? Did you not?
I did
Yes.
not know she was in
You're
it.
like, what? When Bert's like, push comes to shove, I'm gonna light one of these fuses and walk out there and boom, like blow myself up. And she's just like, Jesus, Bert. It's just like,
So I'm very happy that this episode pushed me to finally watch it. It
I'm
was
so glad.
very cute.
Yeah. One that I also recently rewatched is the early 2000s remake of The Hills Have Eyes, from Alexandre Aja, who like he came out of like the French New Extremity wave, and he brings the extremity to that movie. I watched the original one once and was totally underwhelmed and feel like I don't need to watch it again. Kind of similar to like the Hill or the Last House on the Left. Not to speak ill of Wes Craven's early movies, but uh, the Hills Have Eyes remake is gnarly as hell, and that one is like nuclear mutants, just like horrifyingly attacking this family in stranded in the desert.
That was a movie in college. I went to a religious college and you were not allowed to have movies. But I had a friend who was recently deployed and he like gifted me his hard drive that was just like full of movies and shows for me to like have in my dorm room. And that was one of the movies. So I already felt like guilty that I was watching this like watching movies when I wasn't supposed to be. And
Yep.
I made it like 20 minutes into this movie and I was like, I can't. I feel too like convicted. It was too dark.
That's how you know it's really hitting on all cylinders.
When it hit my religious guilt, I'm like, I can't
I
do
gotta
this.
go pray this away. Yeah.
So I've never actually finished it. I only watched the first 20 minutes and I was like, damn, this is dark.
Yeah. It's so dark. And what's his name from the Silence of the Lambs plays like the patriarch of the family, Ted Levine, who plays
Mm,
Buffalo Bill. Um, but yeah, it's a good one for desert horror. It definitely
yeah.
hammers home the like I never
Yeah.
want to do a long drive through the desert. Like that's terrifying.
No, no, thank you. I mean, there's also Revenge, which is like a final girl just like surviving out in the
Yeah.
desert and like planning her revenge. And you're like,
Yep.
God,
Yeah. That one is really gnarly as well and really
yes.
effective for what it like sets out to do. But that's another one where you feel the like oppressive desert landscape.
Yeah. And she makes it work. And you're like, You go, girl."
Yes. Those killer earrings. Yeah.
I also mentioned I have a lot of love for the horror anthology Southbound,
Yep.
which is, as I mentioned, an anthology. So it's like several horror shorts set in this like desert town. But like with what it is, I feel like I can't say too much about it because I can't like tell you what the like framing of it is, but it's a very good framing. Like all the stories connect in
Yeah.
some way other than they're all just in this town. My favorite story is there's like a guy driving down the desert highway at night and he's on the phone and someone runs out in front of his car and he hits them. And so he like stops the car and helps this girl, and he's on the phone with 911, and they're like walking through telling him what to do. And he drives to this like hospital in the middle of nowhere, and like nobody's there. He's like holding this girl in his arms and like on the phone. And they start like walking him through like find a medical closet, find this thing, like open her mouth, like walking
Yeah.
him through like what to do. It's so stressful.
That sounds it sounds very stressful. Yeah, I was saying I haven't seen this one. I mean, I was aware of it, but it just missed me for some reason. And I know that these Radio Silence made this,
Hmm.
right? Who went on to
Yeah.
do the Scream movies. So I really need to check that one out. I love a good
Yeah.
anthology horror.
Yeah. I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
So that's one I
Um,
go for.
Bone Tomahawk is also on our list, which ooh, that's a. I just feel like I keep saying, man, it's gnarly, but that's just a good word for the desert. There's, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, this one is like a western that takes that just gradually gets more and more kind of horror centric. But it's got a stacked cast of like Kurt Russell and Patrick
Yeah.
Wilson and Matthew Fox, and you're like, whoa, all these people did this kind of low budget western horror in
Yeah.
2015 that a lot of people didn't really know about, and then when they discover it they're like, oh my god, because it builds to a climactic
Yeah,
moment.
I've watched it once and I was like,
Yep.
I think we're cool.
And I'm done. Yeah.
I've done it. I've been there. I'm good with it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Were we ready to talk about some horror books?
Yeah, let's get into the books.
Okay. I'm starting off with a book I read this year called Mystery Lights. It's a short story collection by Lena Valencia. And they're all the stories are set in the American Southwest. So, like, the opening story, Dogs, is about a screenwriter who is trying to write I believe she's trying to write a slasher movie. And so she, like, rents this, like, Airbnb in the middle of the desert to just, like, be in isolation and solely focus on this screenplay. Um, but when she goes on a walk, like, outside this Airbnb in the desert. She's being followed by this like pack of dogs. Very scary. The way it's written, it's just like everywhere she goes, they're just like following her. Somebody comes up in a truck and like, offers to give her a ride. And then she gets in this car and it's like, was I in more danger
Ooh,
there or am I in more danger here?
yeah.
As the guy becomes like, starts saying things and like locks the doors. And it's just like a very tense situation. It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
where was I safer?
That's the best. I love when that happens in horror. The like out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah. Like there's a story about like this old woman who's a painter, and she has a connection, through family friends to like another young girl who's a big like UFO enthusiast, and they're like tied by this like glowing orb that just somehow appears in their little desert town. And there's a story about like a family that is on vacation and they go visit some caves, and their daughter gets stuck in one of the caves, and she's down there for like over a day, and like they're able to get her out with like rescue efforts.
Ooh.
But when they get this girl back, she just wants to go back to the caves. Like she's
Oh,
just like not the same girl she was before.
yep. Oh, that's another trope that I love. Is like the place that I was changed me, and yeah. Oh,
Oh, this was a really good collection. I had a lot of fun with it. And the cover for this is so like spooky beautiful. Like it's like an olive green, like it's very like weird.
yes. Oh, that sounds awesome. I have to check this one out.
Yeah, I think that came out, I want to say it came out last year.
Okay.
But that is Mystery Lights by Lena Valencia.
So my first book, I'll start with the one that I teased earlier, which is Black Mad Wheel by Josh Malerman. Um, this is a trippy one. It's about like a washed up band called the Danes, and they're approached by an agent from the army asking them to travel to the African desert to investigate this mysterious, dangerous sound that's happening there. Um, and at the same time, there's another dual narrative about a nurse dealing with this patient who's slowly recovering from an accident and is healing in strange and remarkable ways. So there's these two kind of dual mysteries, and you're trying to figure out how they're connected. This is the one where I said it like it feels like a mirage in book form. There's a sort of um, supernatural mystery. It's been pitched as like Heart of Darkness meets Lost, which I feel like is a good comparison. And like these are not the books that I normally gravitate towards, the kind of like ethereal, weird, what is happening fever dreams. But this one to me like worked so well that it really it becomes super fun to just like give yourself over to this like what is this weird
Yeah.
sound and how is it affecting people and connecting these narratives across time. Yeah, it really taps into the way that like the desert feels like this out of time space that like we should not be we should not be investigating. And yeah, that was Black Mad Wheel by Josh Malerman.
That was a trippy one.
Yeah.
My next pick is, of course, Mary, An Awakening of Terror by Nat Cassidy,
Yes.
Arizona native,
Gotta
or
give it to Matt.
originally.
Yeah.
So this is about a woman named Mary who is fired from her book selling job in New York, and she's middle-aged and she finds herself going through the early stages of menopause and is facing a lot of dismissal and gaslighting from medical professionals in her life. Um, it's just like, ah, that's menopause, and chalks it up to that. But like timing seems to work out because just as she's like lost her job and doesn't know what she's gonna do, she gets a call from her crazy Aunt Nadine, whose daughter has just left and she needs someone to come take care of her. And so Mary's like, that's fine. I'll go back to Arizona for a bit, until I can figure things out. But we have another storyline. We open the book with the conclusion of the manhunt for a serial killer. And this is like where the cover image comes into place. Like it opens up on like the cops raiding this house, and there are just like dead women with like pillowcases on their heads, like in
Mm-hmm.
tubs and like all over the place. And that will be like a recurring theme throughout the book.
Yep. It's a fun little motif.
It is. And you might be wondering, oh my gosh, how do these two threads get threaded? Don't worry about it. The way it happens is great. But, yeah, but like the thing is, like, Mary is going through, like, like the normal like hot flashes and like irritation. But she also like loses time and starts seeing things that aren't there, but she's being like gaslit by all medical professionals. So she's like, I guess this is just, does everyone go through this? Like, is
Right.
this just menopause? I will say there is a scene in a bathroom. There's a lot of bathroom like stuff in this book, but there is a scene in a bathroom that really I was just like, I put the book down and I was like, he's not gonna do that. And then I read a little bit more. I'm like, he did do that. Okay. He went there.
He's Nat Cassidy. He's gonna go there.
This was the first book, okay? So we didn't know what
That's
to
true.
expect.
That's very true.
But I was like, surely this is safe. No, it was not.
Yeah, that book is fantastic. And like what a way, as you said, to kind of debut his voice in the horror world. Like, okay, he has arrived. This book is fantastic.
Oh yeah, and it's just so fun because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what to believe. And the eeriness of the desert, and there is like maybe a supernatural thread in there too. As we start threading these two stories, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, if anybody listening has not read Mary yet, definitely you gotta read this one.
Yeah, it's so good. Like I would put it in the freezer, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even just with that opening, I was like, oh God, okay.
Yep.
This is I mean, I guess you should know. Like if you're starting here, I mean, where are we gonna go from here?
Yeah, it's not gonna get happier.
Nadine was funny though. She was awful, but
Yes.
she was funny. I'm
I
like,
know.
I don't know. I do she has like books on cryptids and stuff. Like she's a cranky old lady, but like, okay. She's a
Yeah.
little weird.
Again, like a fully realized character that sometimes you love to hate, but there are good elements.
So that was Mary, An Awakening of Terror by Nat Cassidy.
Awesome. All right, so the title for my next pick is pure desert horror, and it's a book by Andy Davidson called In the Valley of the Sun. This book is great. So it is a vampire book set in the desert, set in the early 80s as well. And it's, yeah, this dude who keeps to himself, haunted by his past until he kind of meets this woman and her daughter, or her son, I think it is actually, um, and, forms a connection. But there's also this Texas Ranger trying to hunt him down because he is a vampire. And it is like it's a Western. It's kind of like a vampire novel by way of Cormac McCarthy. It also gives big near dark vibes if you've seen the Catherine Bigelow vampire movie from the 80s. But it's just beautifully written. Like you really feel like this vampire story is so grounded in reality in a way that I found just so impressive. All the little details about kind of the vampiric elements that we know play out so well. And of course, just a vampire in the desert is a great, great combination. But yeah, it's terrifying and like savagely violent, but also like a very tender and at times kind of romantic book. But yeah, this was one I read kind of early in my journey back into reading modern horror, and it was one of those books that I was like, oh, this is what you can do when you're writing horror. Like it can be this kind of beautiful combination of taking a classic monster but grounding it in this very human story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this book.
Yeah, it's just has stuck with me all for a long time now. And and Andy's wonderful. Yeah, it's In the Valley of the Sun by Andy Davidson.
Good pick. Okay. My next one is a recent release. It is Spread Me by Sarah Gailley. Did you end up reading this?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay.
I was so mad because we had already picked our topic, and then I read the arc of this and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. And I went into our document and I saw that you had already snagged it. And I was like, all right, well, at least we'll get to talk about it still. So
Sorry.
go on.
As soon as I read it, I'm like, I have to put it in there before he does.
Raced to the Google Doc.
Oh, we did a panel at StokerCon, like essentially pitching books. And this was one of the books that was pitched. And Emily Hughes introduced it. She's like, "This one's for the freaks." And I'm like, I have to agree.
Yes. Oh my God. Accurate. And we love it. We freaks love it.
So this is about Kinsey, who is the team lead at a remote research outpost in the desert. And she really loves her job. Like she talks about, being in charge of all these coworkers, and you kind of get the sense that she's fine with this isolation because that's part of the interview process. It's like, okay, how okay are you with being just like away from civilization for like months at a time
Yeah.
with like only being with this select group of people? That's not something for everyone. And you get the idea that she very much likes this because she feels safer here. Like there's something she's running away from. But she also has this like really deep love for the desert and the way she describes it. And she's like, it's not just this barren thing, like it's living. It's a beautiful landscape. And you kind of get to know, the handful of other people that are working there. And while they're out, they find an anomaly. They break protocol and bring it into the lab because there's like a sandstorm coming and they need to save it. I'm trying to think about like how to talk about this, but
Yep.
as you probably know from watching movies like The Thing and Alien, when you break protocol, things will go bad. Things will begin to spread. And it turns out that, like, the very thing Kinsey is running away from has found her and it, like, has zeroed in on her.
Mm-hmm.
And when Emily said this book is for the freaks, I cannot stress enough. It is because this book is horny.
So horny. It's so horny. I love it.
For things that you're like, I didn't know that that could happen. You know what?
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I mean, I can't think of a more appropriate title than "Spread Me" for this book. It's such a great like
Oh,
double
perfect.
entendre that is just like chef's fucking kiss. Oh my God. And it goes places that I didn't know what I was getting into when I started it. So when it started to go all of those places, I was like, holy shit. And it's a brisk, it's a novella, so it's
Yeah.
just perfectly paced for that too.
Oh,
Um,
it's a wild ride.
yeah.
I just can't, like, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still just like staring off like, huh, this is a
Yep.
crazy ride. So that is Spread Me by Sarah Gailley.
All right. I'm going to follow it up also with a novella that came out this year called Tantrum by Rachel Eve Moulton. Um, and this is about Thea, who just had a newborn, and it's her third child, and she lives in the New Mexico desert with her family. So it's pretty barren out there. They have kind of chickens on their land, but she's definitely struggling with this new baby because this new baby is different than her others. And again, it's hard to talk about because I don't want to give too many details, but I mean, the cover and the description tell you that this baby has a monstrous side to it. And this is another one that like I thought I knew the kind of book I was getting into, and then it just keeps going there harder and harder. That by the end, I was just like, "Holy shit, it went there!" And I love when a book can do that. Um, and it has great themes about like processing past family trauma as you're trying to build your own family. Um, and also, there's a character who's like the neighbor woman is this kind of like desert rat woman archetype that is like so pitch perfect, that really adds to the atmosphere of like she's not in total isolation out there in the New Mexico desert, but also surrounded by the people. The desert people factor is a big element of this book that I really enjoyed. Yeah, have you read this one yet?
I haven't,
Yeah.
but I've heard good things, and I loved Tinfoil Butterfly, which I feel like is another one of those books where you like don't know what you're getting into when you read it. Like where you start off and then where you end up are like wild.
Oh, I've heard great. Yeah, I need to read that one because I've heard great things, and this was my first of her books, and now I'm sold because it just, yeah, it takes the motherhood horror tropes and just twists them in ways that I was like, whoo, it's a ride. So yeah, definitely recommend Tantrum by Rachel Eve Moulton.
I will have to check that out. That looks good. And the cover seems really fun.
Yes.
It's funny. Every time someone mentions like desert, like trashy desert people, I always think of Kristen Bell as Eleanor Shellstrop as like
Yeah.
self-proclaimed like Arizona trash.
I forgot about that element and I showed that pilot to my students to talk about like writing for television. And then when she like talks about being an ASU student, I was like, oh, forgot about that.
I also had American Elsewhere by Robert Jackson Bennett, which is a giant book. It is a chunker of a novel.
Ooh.
But this is about a woman whose mother has died, and she finds that she's inherited like the deed to a house, and it's in this town called Wink, New Mexico. And she goes there, and it is just like the most uncanny, like suburban development, just kind of in the middle of nowhere. And everything about it is just like a little off.
Yeah.
And so she's like, what the hell am I doing here? Like what are these people? What is this place? Like what do these people even do for work? Like what how does this place even exist? While also trying to learn more about her mother and herself. But the vibes for that are very similar to Welcome to Night Vale, which is like a love of mine. Did you ever listen to any Welcome to Night Vale?
I have not. I mean, I've only heard great things, and I don't know why I haven't started that journey yet.
Oh, you gotta at least listen to like the first two or three episodes to get there, like 30 minutes, but it's like this small desert town called Night Vale, and you have this like essentially like radio DJ giving like city ordinances and like telling the weather and the news, but again it's just like off. And there's like a weirdness, but like a normalcy to the weirdness, and the like, a reminder to please not go to the dog park like after dark, and to ignore like the cloaked figures that hang around there. Thank you. This has been a note from City Hall. Like, it's
Ooh.
just and it just builds on all this like weirdness and spookiness, and
Oh, that
it's
sounds
just
great.
so that sorry, that was my second one, which is like American Elsewhere by Robert Jackson Bennett, which is like, yeah, like that weird like suburban horror and desert horror and like a little bit of cosmic horror.
Ooh, yeah, that whole like liminal space thing.
Yeah.
It's so good. Oh, my last pick is "The Devil Takes You Home" by Gabino Iglesias.
Oh yeah.
Whew. Um,
Right.
so yeah, this one is about Mario, who his daughter is ill at the very start of the book. I don't want to spoil anything about this book, but um, he, to support his family, he's a hitman who takes a job to hijack a cartel shipment. So it's kind of like a road trip movie as well. And this journey across the desert through Texas and into Mexico and back is what I love is that it doesn't just go into the desert, but it goes beneath the desert. And that's all I'll say about that much. But it really, like, what I love about Gabino's writing is that like he does not pull any punches on the emotional front. Like I remember I got this arc at StokerCon back in 2022, and I remember getting on the plane flying home and opening the book, and on page one I started tearing up, which is like speaks to like how Gabino just grabs you by the heart immediately, um, and then from there takes that emotional connection and drags you through the most insane horrors of like both brutally human horrors and then otherworldly horrors. And that's one of the things I love about this book is that it takes you to all those different types of dark places in the desert and then brings you home. And yeah, this one really stuck with me. You've read this one, yeah?
Oh my god, yeah. This was another one that like ripped my heart out at like several points in the
Yeah.
story. Yeah, this is like if Narcos was like horror. Like it's that
Yep.
vibe. Like Abs gets like that vibe. And it's like a road trip story. Um and just like the several interactions you have on this road trip, but also the people you're on the road trip on, and everyone
Oof.
has like their own baggage. I don't know. It's just such good character work.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love this one. Um, so yeah, definitely highly recommend people if they have not checked out The Devil Takes You Home by Gabino Iglesias.
Very cool. And I wanted to also add in Sundown in San Ojuela by M. Olivas. This is about a woman going back to a community in the Inland Empire, which I feel like people go back and forth on whether it's the desert. And so the fact that this book was like, no, the desert of the Inland Empire, I'm like, thank you.
I
It
love
is.
that. Yes.
Vindication.
Oh,
I grew up on the Marietta Temecula side, so it's not like as deserty, but
yeah.
like still. I saw
Respect.
tumbleweeds on the way to school, okay?
That seems like a big, yeah, marker of desert life.
She goes back to this small town in the IE. It is dealing with a lot of like indigenous mythology,
Mhm.
which I really liked and I think we need to see more of.
Yeah.
But this was fun and like I said, IE representation, okay? I feel like IE is like the street trash of like Southern California. So that's like the same vibe.
We need that represented for sure.
The closest we have is on SNL, like the Lisa from Temecula.
Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Sorry. So that is Sundown in San Ojuela by M. Olivas.
Love it. All right, I'll throw out one more honorable mention as well, which would be Sundial by Catriona Ward.
Mm.
Yeah, this one is set in the Mojave Desert, and it has to do with a character going back to like the ranch slash maybe kind of like cult that she grew up in, and kind of unearthing what happened there. There's deals with like dog training stuff. It's a trippy one. It was like this one was very unsettling to me. And yeah, so if you like kind of cult vibes, set in the desert, this one would scratch that itch. That's Sundial by Catriona Ward.
Oh, I loved Sundial.
Yeah.
That's another one where you like are reading it and like you think you know what's going on. You don't.
Yeah, I had to like read some passages over again. I was like, wait, is this actually happening? Okay, here we go.
She's very good at that though, at like
Yes.
doing this and then being like, oh, you thought.
Yes.
Thing I like to ask on this show is for a chilling obsession. So, what is something you have been enjoying in horror lately?
All right, I'm answering this in a weird way, which is something that other people I've seen are obsessed with, and I'm about to embark on, which is that my library hold just came in for Uzumaki by Junji Ito. And I'm just so ready. It's been a minute since I've read like a graphic novel, and I remember seeing the movie Spiral way back in like high school when it first came out and being horribly disturbed by the imagery in that. So every Junji Ito image I've seen like shared on social media, I'm just like, what is this? It's so weird and disturbing. So I'm ready to be chillingly obsessed with that now.
Oh, I love that. You'll have to keep us updated on your journey.
Absolutely. I will share as I slowly spiral out into insanity. What's your chilling obsession?
I was telling you earlier, my friends and I just finished our like 150 greatest albums by women challenge.
Yes.
That took us like 6 months to get through, but it was such a fun project. And I think all of us are like, I don't know, type A eldest daughters, where we're like, we need another project. We need another
Yes.
thing to work through. And so we decided to do a movie project. And so we were looking at a lot of the movie lists and we're like, I don't know, like, I don't want to just watch a bunch of like serious films all the time. Like, these are important films, yes, but like, that's not the vibe we want
Yeah.
always. And so we looked at the criterion site and we looked at their listing for like their cult films, and it was just such a fun collection of movies. And it's like 100, movies and box sets and stuff. And we're like, I think we're gonna do this. I think we're gonna work through our way through the Criterion cult film collection. And
Oh,
I'll see if
yeah.
I can pull up like,
I'm doing it right now. Oh my god. You've got House on there. Oh,
yeah,
is Eyes Without a Face on your list? That's one of
it
my like
is.
all-time favorite movies. It's actually the background of my desktop right now. I love
Oh,
that
that's
movie.
perfect. Um, but yeah, like The Lure, Being John Malkovich, Sisters, Grey Gardens,
Oh,
Scanners, Harold and Maude, Inland
that's
Empire, Videodrome, Eraserhead, Pink Flamingo, Peeping Tom, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like it's just like important and fun nerd movies.
yeah. I love that. That's so I'm loving seeing all the movies on here that I didn't realize like Todd Browning's Freaks and Night of the Living Dead is Criterion like
Hmm.
as they should be.
Yeah,
That's
we
going to
also
be
got
so
Solo, 120 Days of Sodom,
fun.
that
I
I'm
was gonna
sure that'll be a fun one when we all get to that.
Oh no. That's one I still have not ventured to experience.
I know, it just has such a reputation.
I know.
So we will be working on that
I love that.
for probably a while. If we're
I
doing
hope
like a movie a week,
I
that'll
hope
be
you all keep sharing your experiences as you do.
okay. So that is mine. But Brian, it's time for the next question, or the second question I like to ask my guests, which is, what is your final girl song?
Ooh. All right. I was struck by, Haley Williams, the
Yeah.
lead singer of Paramore, released a bunch of solo tracks recently. Um, and one of them really struck me as a final girl song. It's called Kill Me. And the lyrics of the chorus is go ahead and kill me, can't get much stronger. Find another soldier, another soldier. And why I picked this one because it feels like it's that moment in the slasher. It's like in screenwriting terms, it's the end of Act Two. It's the dark night of the soul. It's the like, I give up, just kill me. Like it's also like an inversion of the stronger song by what's her name, Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
um, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. This is like the all right, I can't get much stronger, like I give up. But in true final girl fashion, that doesn't mean that this is the end of her story. This is just a nice song to pinpoint that moment in the movie of like, okay, I give up, but also there's a whole third act for her to come back and see
Eh,
it through. But yeah, that's Kill Me by Haley Williams.
Ah, perfect. Um, and that fits perfectly. That is final girl vibes.
Yeah. And
Okay.
she's badass too. She's got final girl energy to begin with.
When Anna was on and we were talking about Severance, she said that they had like Final Girl merch for a while, like Paramore did, that she got at their
Oh,
concert. Yeah.
what? I had no idea.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us about desert horror.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a delightful trip through the desert hellscape.
Of course. Where can people find you online?
You can find me. I'm mostly on Instagram and Threads these days at Brian McWriter, and that's my website as well, brianmcwriter.com, which has all my tour dates. I'll be touring for Breathe and Bleed Out through most of September, and then I've got a couple events coming up in October as well. So, hope you check out the book and come see me on the road.
He could be at a bookstore near you.
Yes, it's creeping up.
But this book was such a delight, an absolute treat for slasher fans like me, but also, yeah, like you said, people who are maybe slasher curious, horror
Yeah,
curious.
I love slasher curious. That's perfect.
Books in the Freezer is a bi weekly podcast. We post episodes every other Tuesday. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Books in the Freezer, or send us an email at booksinthefreezer@gmail.com. Show notes for this episode and all previous episodes are at booksinthefreezer.com. If you would like to support the podcast, consider becoming a member of our Patreon community. There are a lot of fun things to do there. There's a bonus podcast where we talk about Fear Street books. There's early episodes. There's all kinds of fun stuff. So check that out at patreon.com/booksinthefreezer. You can also support the podcast by buying yourself some books. All of the books listed in the episode description are linked to my bookshop.org shop. So not only will you be supporting the podcast, your purchase will also be supporting independent bookstores. So that's another great way to show your support. But if you're looking to support the podcast without spending any money, there are also a lot of ways to do that, like posting about it on social media, leaving a review on a site like Apple Podcasts or Spotify are huge. So thank you to all of you that do that. I have been your host, Stephanie Gagne. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time on Books in the Freezer.